All right, so get this. You sent in a Tamil audiobook excerpts about Shiva from the Sivapuranam.
Oh, wow.
So today we are diving deep into Hindu mythology
Yeah.
to unpack some seriously epic stories about Shiva, the destroyer god.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
The Siva Pura is one of Hinduism's 18 major Puranas.
Okay.
And these texts are really interesting because they kind of weave together history, philosophy, and mythology all in one.
So we're not just dealing with a simple storybook here.
Not at all.
Okay.
Think of it as a window into the core of Hindu beliefs.
Mm.
Creation, destruction, how everything is connected.
Yeah.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
let's answer the basic question.
Yeah.
Who is Shiva?
Right, because there's that whole Hindu trinity situation.
Exactly. The Trimurti,
Yeah.
Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver,
Yeah.
and then there's Shiva, the destroyer.
The destroyer.
They represent the fundamental forces that make the universe tick.
I have to admit, it sounds a bit intense.
Yeah. I mean, that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Shiva's role isn't just about wiping things out.
Right.
It's about destroying that
Yeah.
to make space for something new.
Okay.
That constant cycle of things ending and beginning again.
Yeah.
That's what Shiva embodies.
So like how nature has cycles of death and rebirth?
Yes, precisely.
Okay.
It's that constant state of change.
Mhm.
And speaking of change,
Yeah.
the excerpt you sent mentions Brahma and Vishnu having a bit of an argument.
Oh, this is the one where they're arguing about who's more powerful, right?
Yep, the one.
Okay.
Each god is boasting about their accomplishments, convinced they're the top dog.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, this massive pillar of fire appears.
Whoa.
It's called a Jyotirlinga,
Okay.
and it stretches infinitely in both directions.
They can't find the top or bottom.
Nope. These powerful gods are completely stumped.
Wow.
And to make things even more interesting, Shiva then appears from the fire itself,
What?
showing them who's really in charge.
Okay, what an entrance.
Right.
It's like saying, okay, guys, I'm here. Let's end this debate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really highlights how primal Shiva is.
Mm-hmm.
A power beyond comprehension, existing before and encompassing everything else.
Okay. But even a god as powerful as Shiva
Right?
has to deal with family drama, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's the story with Sati?
Oh, there's definitely drama.
Okay.
The audiobook excerpt you sent talks about Shiva's marriage to Sati, the daughter of Daksha.
And I'm guessing Daksha isn't thrilled about this marriage?
He is absolutely not a fan.
Really?
Daksha considers Shiva to be completely unsuitable for his daughter.
Oh.
The tension escalates until Daksha decides to hold this grand sacrifice.
Okay.
And who does he refuse to invite?
Who?
Shiva and Sati.
That's a serious diss. What does Sati do?
Sati is deeply hurt by this blatant disrespect.
Yeah.
She feels like she has to make a statement, so she throws herself into the sacrificial fire.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful statement.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, Shiva is overcome with grief and rage.
Yeah, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
To express his fury, Shiva creates the fearsome Virabhadra from a lock of his own hair.
Okay.
Virabhadra, along with the fierce goddess Kali, storms into Daksha's sacrifice and wreaks havoc.
So there's a literal battle at this sacrifice.
It's pure chaos.
Wow.
They completely disrupt everything.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Virabhadra beheads Daksha.
Okay, so this whole thing went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
there's always that cycle of creation and destruction.
Right.
Eventually, Shiva calms down and actually brings Daksha back to life.
That's incredibly merciful considering what just went down.
It is. But Shiva gives Daksha a goat's head as a lasting reminder of his actions.
A goat's head. I guess even in acts of mercy, Shiva still has a bit of an edge.
It definitely shows his complex nature.
Yeah.
Shiva embodies both terrifying power and incredible compassion.
Right.
And in this situation, he chose a blend of both.
So what about Sati? Is Shiva destined to be single forever after such a loss?
He does go through a period of intense mourning.
Yeah.
But as fate would have it, Sati is eventually reborn as Parvati,
Okay.
the daughter of Himavan, the king of the mountains.
So they have another chance.
Parvati is determined to win Shiva back.
Okay.
To prove her devotion, she performs incredibly difficult penances.
But even with all that power, Shiva can't be immune to love, right?
Well, you see, the gods were a little preoccupied with a problem named Tarakasura.
Tarakasura, fill me in. Who's this?
He's this incredibly powerful asura, a demon who had received a boon, making him almost invincible.
Uh-oh.
The catch, only a son of Shiva could defeat him.
So the gods are desperately hoping for Shiva to, shall we say, settle down and start a family.
Exactly. They're worried about this prophecy and want Shiva to have an heir.
Okay.
They even get Kamadeva involved, the god of love.
What, Kamadeva as in Cupid? That doesn't sound like it's going to end well.
You're right to be concerned. Kamadeva tries to shoot Shiva with his love arrows, hoping to stir up his desire for Parvati. But Shiva, in a moment of anger, opens his third eye.
Oh no, what happens?
And let's just say it was a bad day to be Kamadeva.
Oh no.
He gets incinerated instantly.
I'm starting to get the feeling that Shiva's third eye is not something to be trifled with.
Yeah.
But if Kamadeva is out of the picture, what about the sun the gods need to defeat Tarakasura?
This is where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Somehow, Agni, the god of fire, ends up carrying Shiva's seed.
Okay, hold on. How does that even work?
It's a bit of a mechanical process, to put it mildly.
Okay.
The important point is that Shiva's essence is just too powerful for Agni to handle.
Wow.
He eventually gives birth to a son, Murugan, also known as Skanda.
That's a birth story I've never heard before.
Right.
Wow.
But wait, there's more.
Okay.
Murugan is then raised by 6 Kartika maidens and eventually becomes the general of the gods' army.
So they finally get their champion.
And of course, he eventually fulfills the prophecy by slaying Tarakasura.
But this audiobook excerpt also mentioned Tarakasura's sons. What happens to them?
Yes. Tarakasura had 3 sons,
Okay.
Vidyamali, Tarakaksha, and Kamalaksha.
Okay.
They're understandably upset about their father's death
Right.
and are determined to get revenge.
So they go after Shiva.
They decide to go the penance route, performing intense spiritual practices to please Brahma.
Okay.
And Brahma grants them a boon.
What kind of boon? I have a feeling it's going to be something impressive.
Brahma gives them 3 incredible flying cities called Tripura.
Wow.
One is made of gold, one of silver, and the last one of iron. And here's the catch. The cities are almost indestructible.
Almost. So there's a way to destroy them.
There's one very specific condition. The cities only become vulnerable when they align perfectly, which happens once every 1,000 years.
Okay.
And they can only be destroyed by a single arrow at that exact moment.
Wow. So even with that weakness, it's still a pretty sweet deal.
And initially, the sons actually use their cities for good. They live righteous lives dedicated to helping others.
Sounds like they're doing the opposite of what you'd expect from Demon King wannabes.
It's true.
Yeah.
But that's where things take an unexpected turn. Vishnu, seeing the potential danger, instructs his devotee Narada to plant seeds of doubt and arrogance in their hearts.
So it becomes a psychological battle as well as a potential physical one?
Exactly.
Wow.
Narada, along with a skeptical sage named Charuvaka, really go to work challenging the sun's faith and worldview.
And they fall for it.
They do. These once pious sons, swayed by Narada and Charuvaka, end up turning against Shiva and the gods.
That's quite the fall from grace. So how does Shiva deal with this triple threat?
This is where we see Shiva in his full warrior glory. Imagine this Shiva riding a magnificent chariot with Brahma himself, as the charioteer of the sun and the moon as his wheels.
This sounds like something straight out of a cosmic blockbuster film.
And then at the precise moment when the 3 cities align, Shiva releases a single all-powerful arrow obliterating Tripura in a blinding flash. It's the ultimate display of cosmic power.
What happens to the sons? Are they completely obliterated too?
Even though they betrayed him, Shiva recognizes their initial devotion and shows them mercy. He actually grants them positions as Shiva Ganas.
Shiva Ganas?
They're Shiva's attendants, often depicted as these fierce, sometimes mischievous beings.
Okay.
They represent the diverse forces that surround and serve Shiva.
So even in defeat, there's a chance for redemption.
Exactly. Shiva gives them the opportunity to serve a higher purpose. It's a reminder that even when we stumble, there's always a chance to realign ourselves with something greater.
Wow, there's so much to unpack in that story.
There is, and your excerpt goes on to tell another incredibly intriguing story, the tale of Jalandhara.
Okay, hit me with it. Who is this Jalandhara character?
Jalandhara is an Asura who is born from a rather unusual source, the fire of Shiva's third eye.
Wait, how does that even happen?
Well, it all starts with Indra, the king of the gods.
Okay.
He makes a careless mistake and unknowingly offends Shiva during his meditation.
Let me guess, Shiva is not exactly known for his patience when disturbed.
Again, Shiva reacts with, let's say, a bit of an overreaction.
So what happens to Indra?
Let's just say he needs a divine reboot. Shiva, realizing he went a little overboard, eventually brings Indra back to life.
Okay.
But in the process, the fire from Shiva's third eye ends up falling into the ocean.
Oh.
And guess what? That fire eventually gives birth to Jalandhara.
Wow, so this Jalandhara is literally born from Shiva's power. That can't be good.
You're catching on quickly.
Oh.
Jalandhara turns out to be a real problem.
Oh, no.
He ends up receiving a boon from Brahma,
Okay.
which makes him incredibly powerful.
So what does he do with all this power?
He decides to go on a conquering spree.
Oh, boy.
Jalandhara ends up defeating a whole bunch of gods, including big names like Indragniyama and Kubera.
Whoa, he's taken down some major players here.
It's a serious power trip.
Wow.
But Jalandhara does show a bit of gratitude.
Okay.
At all the gods he conquers, he spares Brahma because Brahma was the one who gave him the boon in the first place.
Okay, so this Jalandhara is a powerful, ambitious Ashura, but at least he has a little bit of gratitude.
Yeah.
But how does he eventually get defeated? I mean, with a boon like that, it can't be easy.
That's where things get even more complicated.
Okay.
And where Vishnu's cleverness comes into play.
Okay.
He realizes he can't just defeat Jalandhara head-on because of the boon.
Right.
There has to be another way.
So he devises a plan.
Exactly. You see, Jalandhara's power is tied to his wife Vrinda's chastity.
Okay, so this is getting a bit more complex than just a straightforward battle.
It is.
Okay.
Vishnu, realizing this connection, disguises himself as Jalandhara and tricks Vrinda, breaking her fidelity.
Wow, that's some serious divine intervention and trickery.
It's a risky move.
Yeah.
But it works. By breaking Vrinda's fidelity, Vishnu weakens Jalandhara, allowing Shiva to finally defeat and kill him.
These are some seriously intense stories. There's clearly a lot more going on here than just gods and demons fighting each other. I'm already seeing some deeper themes emerging.
You're right. There's definitely more to explore here. These stories aren't just about epic battles and divine powers. They're packed with symbolism and offer insights into the core tenets of Hindu philosophy.
It's like each story is a puzzle box waiting to be opened, and what's even more interesting is that you sent in a Tamil audiobook, which adds another layer of cultural context.
Absolutely. Tamil interpretations of these stories often emphasize different aspects compared to, say, Sanskrit versions.
Okay.
So we're essentially getting a unique perspective on these ancient myths.
This is already blowing my mind, and we've only just scratched the surface.
I know, right? We've laid the groundwork with these incredible narratives.
Yeah.
But the real fun begins when we delve into what these stories mean.
Right.
And how they still resonate with us today.
Okay, I am ready to dive deeper. I have to say, even though we've just covered the basic stories, I'm already seeing some major themes.
Yeah.
That whole idea of creation and destruction happening over and over, it's really powerful.
It is. It's a fundamental concept in Hinduism, and the Trimurti itself is a perfect representation of it. Shiva as the destroyer. It's not about some final ending, but rather a constant cycle of renewal.
It's like the seasons changing, or even the life cycle of a plant. There's death, but then new life springs from it.
That's a great way to put it. It's about understanding that endings are also beginnings.
Right.
Even these really dramatic events, they all fit into this larger process. Think about Sati's self-immolation.
Right.
It's a tragic event.
Yeah.
But it sets the stage for her rebirth as Parvati, which ultimately leads to the birth of Murugan, the hero who defeats Tarakasura.
It's like a chain reaction playing out on a cosmic scale.
Right.
One event leading to another, even if we don't always see the connection right away.
That's a fascinating point. And it makes me think about the story of Tarakasura's sons. They start out so devout, dedicated to using their power for good, but then they completely change course.
It makes you wonder, how much control do we really have over our own destinies? Were they always meant to turn against Shiva, or was it Narada and Charvaka's influence that swayed them?
The Sivapuranam doesn't give us a simple answer.
Right.
It presents these really complex scenarios and leaves us to grapple with the nature of free will versus destiny, good and evil, the consequences of our choices.
It's almost like these stories are asking us to question our own assumptions, to think critically about the choices we make and the paths we take in life.
It's true, the Sivapuranam doesn't shy away from difficult questions.
Yeah.
Another theme that stands out is the importance of devotion to Shiva.
Okay.
Characters like Parvati or even the Asura brothers, in the beginning, they demonstrate how powerful devotion can be.
It's like even if their actions aren't always perfect, the sincerity of their devotion leads to significant outcomes.
Exactly. In Hinduism, bhakti, or devotion, is seen as a path to liberation. But there's also that concept of dharma, right? Doing your duty, fulfilling your role in the universe.
It's like everyone from gods to demons has their own dharma.
That's the idea. Dharma is about understanding your place and purpose in the grand scheme of things. And when that dharma is violated, there are consequences.
Like Indra's careless mistake that leads to the birth of Jalandhara, or Daksha's disrespect towards Shiva. that ultimately results in tragedy. It seems like the Sivapuranam emphasizes aligning ourselves with that cosmic order.
It does. It's a reminder that our actions have ripple effects impacting not just ourselves, but the world around us. But it's also interesting to consider the times when Shiva himself seems to act outside of this order, like when he incinerates Kamadeva.
Yeah, that was a bit intense.
It is.
Yeah.
But it reminds us that even gods are complex beings. They have emotions. They can be driven by passion or grief. Shiva, despite his immense power, isn't immune to these things. But even in those moments, there's often a larger purpose at play.
Like how Kamadeva's death actually paves the way for the birth of Murugan. It's like even seemingly destructive acts can lead to positive outcomes.
It's all interconnected. Every action has a reaction. The stories highlight that constant interplay of forces. They're not just about good versus evil, but about navigating the complexities of existence.
You know, it's striking how relevant these ancient stories still feel. We might not be battling demons or riding chariots with the sun and moon as wheels, but we all experience these struggles between good and evil. The complexities of love and loss, making difficult choices.
That's the power of myth, isn't it?
Yeah.
These stories tap into universal truths that transcend time and culture, and Shiva himself embodies this idea of paradox.
Right. He's this fierce destroyer, but also a compassionate deity. He's this wild ascetic, but also a devoted husband and father. It's like he contains multitudes.
Exactly. He's beyond simple categories. Shiva represents the totality of being, the forces that drive both our creation and our destruction. They can be unsettling, even scary, but it's also liberating. It challenges us to think beyond our limited perspectives.
Like there's no easy good or bad when it comes to Shiva. He embodies both, and that makes him so much more interesting.
It's a reminder that the universe is rarely black and white. There are shades of gray, contradictions, and paradoxes everywhere, and that's okay. It's what makes life so fascinating.
Yeah. It's like he's this ultimate force of nature, something we can never fully control or understand, but we can learn to respect it, maybe even find harmony with it. And that brings us back to that idea of interconnectedness.
We are all part of this grand cosmic dance, a constant interplay of creation and destruction, order and chaos. And these stories, they offer us a glimpse into that dance. They help us make sense of it all.
And thinking about these stories being passed down through generations, told and retold in different ways, it's really the power of storytelling that's shining through. It's how we make sense of the world, how we share wisdom and connect with each other.
It is, and this reminds me that the excerpt you sent us is in Tamil, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It offers a unique cultural lens through which to understand these stories.
That's what I find so fascinating about exploring different cultures. We get to see these familiar stories from a whole new perspective, which enriches our own understanding.
That's like we're adding new layers of meaning to something that's already so profound.
This has been incredible. So far, we've got these epic tales of gods and demons, and we're starting to unravel some of the deeper meanings behind them. What else can we learn from these stories?
Well, we've talked about Shiva's role in the cosmic dance of creation and destruction and the importance of devotion and dharma. But there's another aspect of Shiva that often gets overlooked, and that's his association with knowledge and liberation.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about that.
In many traditions, Shiva is seen as the ultimate guru, the source of wisdom and enlightenment. Think about it. He's often depicted deep in meditation, detached from worldly concerns, seeking a higher truth.
It's almost like he represents a different kind of power, not just physical strength or the ability to control the elements, but the power of knowledge and self-realization.
Exactly, and that's a powerful message for us today in a world that often prioritizes external achievements and material possessions. Shiva reminds us to look inwards, to cultivate our inner world, and to seek knowledge that liberates us from ignorance and suffering.
It's like he's inviting us to embark on our own journeys of self-discovery, to become our own gurus, to seek that inner stillness and wisdom that can help us navigate life's challenges.
That's a beautiful way to put it, and it makes me think about one of Shiva's most iconic symbols, the third eye.
Oh, yeah, the one that incinerated Kamadeva. What's the significance of that?
The third eye is often seen as a symbol of spiritual insight, the ability to see beyond the limitations of our ordinary senses. It represents a higher level of consciousness and understanding.
So when Shiva opens his third eye, he's not just displaying his power, but also accessing a deeper level of truth and wisdom.
Exactly. It's a reminder that true power lies in our ability to see clearly, to understand the nature of reality, and to make choices that are aligned with our highest purpose.
It's almost like he's encouraging us to develop our own third eye, to cultivate our intuition and spiritual awareness.
I think that's a wonderful way to think about it. We may not be able to shoot fire from our foreheads, but we can all strive to see the world and ourselves with greater clarity and understanding.
This is making me think about the excerpt you sent and the fact that it's a Tamil audiobook. It's like we're getting a glimpse into how different cultures have interpreted and applied these stories over centuries.
That's so true. The Sivapuranam has been translated and reinterpreted countless times throughout history. Each culture brings its own unique perspective, highlighting different aspects of Shiva's multifaceted nature.
It's a reminder that these stories are living, breathing things. They evolve and adapt as they're passed down through generations. It makes me wonder what other hidden gems are waiting to be discovered in these ancient texts.
Oh, I'm sure there are countless treasures waiting to be unearthed. That's the beauty of engaging with these myths. They're not just static stories, but dynamic sources of wisdom that continue to reveal new layers of meaning as we explore them.
It's almost like they're inviting us to keep asking questions, to keep digging deeper into the mysteries of the universe and our place within it. And who knows what profound insights and unexpected connections we might find along the way.
That's the exciting part. Every time we delve into these myths, we have the potential to discover something new about ourselves, about the world, about the very nature of existence.
This deep dive is turning into a thrilling adventure. I'm already feeling like I've gained a whole new appreciation for Shiva and the profound wisdom embedded in these ancient tales.
Me too. And we've only just begun to explore the depths of the Sivapuranam. There are so many more fascinating stories and insights to uncover.
Well, I can't wait to dive even deeper. You know, it's amazing how these stories passed down for centuries can still feel so relevant today.
Right.
We might not be facing literal demons, but
Right.
figuring out our place in the world, those internal battles, those are things we all grapple with.
Yeah, it speaks to the power of these myths, you know, how they tap into those universal human experiences.
Yeah.
And what's so intriguing about Shiva is that he embodies those contradictions within us.
Right, he's a fierce destroyer,
Yeah.
but also a compassionate deity. We talked about the ascetic yogi side,
Right.
but he's also a devoted husband and father.
Yeah. It's like he's showing us we're not just one thing.
Yeah.
We contain all these different aspects.
Precisely, Shiva refuses to be put in a box.
Right.
He's beyond those simple categories of good or bad, light or dark.
Yeah.
He represents that totality of being those forces that create us and also ultimately dissolve us.
That's a bit of a mind bender when you really think about it.
It is.
It's almost scary, but also kind of freeing.
It is, because it reminds us that there's so much more to life than our limited definitions.
Right.
Shiva challenges us to embrace that paradox, the complexity that's inherent in everything.
It's like he's this ultimate force of nature.
Yeah.
We can't control him.
Right.
Can't fully understand him.
Mm-hmm.
But we can learn to respect him and maybe even find a way to be in harmony with those powerful forces.
Beautifully put. And I think that's one of the key takeaways from the Sivapuranam.
Yeah.
We're all part of this cosmic dance, this constant interplay of creation and destruction, order, and chaos.
And the fact that you sent in a Tamil audiobook just adds to that.
It's not just one static story. It's been interpreted and reinterpreted over centuries in different cultures, different languages.
Exactly. Each culture brings its own understanding, its own emphasis,
Right.
which makes exploring these myths even richer. There's always something new to discover.
This has been an incredible journey. I
Yeah.
feel like I've learned so much, not just about Shiva, but about Hindu mythology, about myself even.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
The Sivapuranam is a vast and intricate text with so many more stories and insights waiting to be explored.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of those deep dives that's going to stay with me. It
Yeah.
makes you realize there's always more to learn, more to uncover, more to connect with in these ancient stories.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
The journey of exploration never truly ends.
To all our listeners, if this deep dive sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to seek out these stories. These myths, read different versions, listen to different interpretations. Who knows what you might discover about yourself and the universe along the way. Until next time,